I have reviewed not the entirety of the files, so I
You haven't reviewed all of the Epstein files?
Personally, no.
You're the director of the FBI. This is the largest sex trafficking case the FBI has ever been a part of. Buck stops at the top, and your testimony today is you have not reviewed all of the files.
What I've been doing is been busy providing the safest country this country has seen in modern U.S. history in historic speed, because the men and women of the FBI are given the resources to reduce the homicide rate, to reduce the drug trafficking rate, to reduce the amount of children that are being trafficked and the number of pedophiles.
It sounds like those children being trafficked would appreciate the director reviewing the files. You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible.
Director, could it at least be 1,000 times?
We have released every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can characterize the numbers however you want it.
You're claiming my time, Director.
Hey everyone, Dr. John here. So what just happened, guys? A former high-ranking FBI official who worked directly alongside Kash Patel just testified under oath, not through anonymous sources, not through leaked memos, but firsthand with their hand raised, that Trump personally ordered the Epstein files buried. Explicit command, direct knowledge, on the record. House Democrats are no longer debating whether to impeach. They're debating when, and the answer is days. This is not speculation. This is not cable news hype.
It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times.
It's not. It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that.
Do you think it might be your job to know the number?
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political innuendo so you can go out to the sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising article.
Director,
keep going, reclaiming your time, because the people of California are being underserved by your representation.
If the president is not implicated, why not release everything that involves him?
We have released everything, the president and anyone else's side, that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding child pedophiles is disgusting. Anyone that says that needs to look at the stats alone and go back to the state of California, who's receiving the biggest surge in FBI resources through my redeployment, because the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco need it.
Director, remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
This is the constitutional system waking up and moving at full speed. Let me take you inside what happened, because the details matter more than anything we have seen in years. The whistleblower is not some disgruntled staffer with an axe to grind. This is a former senior FBI official who served directly under Kash Patel during Patel's time as FBI director. This person had Oval Office access. This person sat in high-level meetings.
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in the Attorney's files. It's a simple question. Did you tell the Attorney General that the President's name is in the Epstein files? During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is simple.
Who
did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes or no, Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No? A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F?
it sounds like you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Where the Epstein files were discussed at the highest levels of government. And this person made the gut-wrenching decision to come forward, knowing full well that Trump and his allies would try to destroy them, because they believed that what the president was doing was not just wrong, but illegal. And they believed the American people deserved the truth.
Why don't you try serving your constituency by focusing on reducing violent crime in this country and the number of pedophiles that are illegally harbored in your sanctuary cities in California? I'll work with you on that.
Regular order, Mr. Chairman.
I'm
belongs to the gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The question has been asked and answered.
You have not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness of guilt. Director, did Donald Trump ever say to you, just find and release the entire truth? Don't worry if I'm in it.
The instructions from the administration were to release all credible information, and we have done that.
Did Donald Trump ever provide information about Jeffrey Epstein as an informant?
Donald Trump has not been, and I can only speak for the FBI, an informant of the FBI.
So, Director, you've played this cute shell game where you say you can't release everything because the court has said that it legally is not allowed to be released. But the court calls bullshit. Judge Richard Berman said that when you went to the court, quote, information contained in the Epstein grand jury transcripts pales.
On the day they testified before the House Judiciary Committee, they put everything on the line. Lying under oath would mean perjury, prison time, the end of their career, and their freedom. So every single word they spoke carried the weight of federal felony charges, and what they said was absolutely devastating. They described being physically present in the Oval Office during a meeting between Trump and Kash Patel. The topic was the Epstein files.
Pales in comparison to Epstein investigation information and materials in the hands of the Department of Justice. So let's move on, Director. You wrote a book called Government Gangsters. You identified 20 individuals in that book. You put me on that list, at the top of the list. Thank you. My children find it flattering. 20 of those individuals have been investigated or have had adverse actions. Director, considering that you have identified these people as, quote, government gangsters, will you recuse yourself from making any investigation decisions about these individuals?
Anyone that has been terminated at the FBI has been done
No, the
because
question
they failed
again,
to meet the muster in their
Director,
constitutional
I will
obligation.
work on the
No.
audio-visual capabilities.
I'm going to
for a second.
borrow
You
your
can hear me.
terminology and call
I'm reclaiming
bullshit
my
on your
time.
entire career in
I'm
Congress.
reclaiming my
It
time,
has been
Director.
a disgrace to the American
Director, I'm
people.
reclaiming my
You
time.
can
No,
reclaim your
you
time all
recuse
you
yourself.
want.
Mr.
Chairman, you're going to allow a witness to
Gentlemen,
speak this
Mr.
way? Mr. Chairman, would you give...
Recuse yourself, Director.
The gentleman has no time to...
Mr. Chairman, would you
Mr.
admonish the
Chairman,
witness not to insult members?
The gentleman has no time.
Mr. Chairman,
The
just
committee will remember.
quick point of order. Could the gentleman be extended an additional 20 seconds to complete his thoughts since the witness decided to interrupt him continuously?
And the witness will be able to respond if he wants. We'll make sure he
Thank
has
you.
time to do that.
My question
We'll
is,
continue.
will you, Director, recuse yourself, yes or no, from investigating or making decisions about the 60 individuals, including myself, that you identified as government gangsters? Yes or no?
Time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may respond if he would like.
And the answer was no, as I heard.
And according to the testimony, Trump looked directly at Patel and used these exact words: bury it deep. Make sure those files linking Epstein to Mar-a-Lago never see the light of day. Let those words land. Bury it deep. That is not a lawyer carefully parsing privilege claims. That is not a president legitimately reviewing classified material. That is a direct, unambiguous order to hide evidence from Congress, from the courts, from the American people. And the files in question specifically connect Epstein to Mar-a-Lago, documents that allegedly show Epstein's visits to Trump's Florida estate. What happened there? Who else was there? What was discussed? And Trump ordered all of it buried. So ask yourself the most obvious question in the world. Why would a president order evidence hidden unless that evidence implicates him or people close to him? There is only one honest answer. Those files contain information that would destroy Donald Trump politically and quite possibly criminally. That is consciousness of guilt. That is obstruction with a clear, corrupt personal motive. And that motive makes the impeachment case not just strong, but almost impossible to defend against. Now let me connect the dots that Democrats are already connecting in real time, because this testimony does not exist in a vacuum. For months, we have watched Kash Patel frozen in court, facing arrest for refusing to release the Epstein files. We have watched Pam Bondi face dual contempt proceedings for the same obstruction. Both of them claimed legal justifications. Both of them said they were following proper procedures. Both of them were lying. And now we know exactly who gave the orders. Trump personally directed the entire cover-up from the Oval Office. Patel and Bondi were just following instructions from the top. That is a conspiracy to obstruct justice. Multiple people working together to hide evidence from the legislative branch, from the judicial branch, from the American people. And the whistleblower's sworn testimony corroborates every piece of circumstantial evidence we already had, turning a mountain of suspicion into a direct line of proof. Representative Al Green has been pushing for impeachment for months, years, really. He has introduced articles before. He has been told to wait. He has been told the votes were not there. But after this testimony, Green is saying the waiting is over. He is saying the evidence is clear. He is saying Trump's reckless leadership, his ruthless suppression of evidence, his obstruction of justice justice, all of it together warrants immediate removal. And Green cited the testimony specifically. He said, "We have a witness who was in the room who heard Trump give the order, who can testify under oath about exactly what happened." That is exactly the kind of evidence the framers had in mind when they wrote the impeachment clause. A president who obstructs justice, a president who abuses his authority, a president who puts his own survival above the rule of law. That is the profile the Constitution was designed to address. And then there is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She had been pushing for impeachment over Trump's unauthorized Iran escalation. She had argued that risking war without congressional approval was already an impeachable abuse of power. She had said that Trump's military threats and deployments violated his constitutional obligations. And even after Iran agreed to a ceasefire, AOC said the ceasefire changes nothing. She said Trump still needs to be held accountable. But now, with the Epstein testimony, she is saying the case has become overwhelming. Multiple impeachable offenses, obstruction of justice, abuse of power, defying court orders, unauthorized military action, all of it stacking up to a president who simply cannot be trusted with the powers of the office. And when AOC and Al Green and the moderate Democrats all agree on the same conclusion, when the progressive wing and the centrist wing and the impeachment hawks all line up together, leadership has no choice but to move. So here is exactly where things stand right now, in real time, as we speak. The House Judiciary Committee is eyeing a vote by the end of this week. Not next month, not after more hearings, not after more investigations. This week, they are drafting articles of impeachment at this very moment. Obstruction of justice will be the primary charge, based directly and explicitly on the whistleblower's sworn testimony. Abuse of power will be in there. Defying court orders will be in there. And there is serious, ongoing discussion about including articles related to the Iran escalation, because the pattern of constitutional violations matters. It matters that this is not one isolated incident. It matters that Trump has been testing the limits of his authority from every direction. It matters that the courts have been slapping him down and he keeps reaching anyway. They have the votes in committee, they have the votes in the full House. Democrats hold the majority and the majority is now unified behind moving forward. So impeachment will pass. Donald Trump will be impeached for the third time. The only remaining question is not whether the House will act. They will. The only remaining question is what happens next in the Senate. And that is where the math gets brutal for Trump. Let me walk you through the numbers carefully, because they matter. Normally, Senate conviction of a Republican president would be unthinkable. Republicans control the Senate. They have protected Trump through 2 previous impeachments. They have shielded him from accountability again and again. But here is what has changed. 47 lawmakers, including sitting Republicans, have already called for Trump's resignation. That is not nothing. That is a crack in the wall. That is proof that some Republicans are willing to break ranks, to say publicly that this president has gone too far. And if the whistleblower's testimony is as damning in a Senate trial as it was in the House hearing, some of those Republican senators might decide that conviction is the right call, not just the politically expedient call. The right call. Which Republican senators could flip? Names like Mitt Romney, who has already voted to convict Trump once, Susan Collins, who has shown independence before, Lisa Murkowski, who has broken with Trump on multiple occasions, maybe even Mitch McConnell if he decides that Trump is destroying the Republican Party from within and that the only way to save the institution is to cut him loose. These are not impossible scenarios. They are unlikely under normal circumstances, but these are not normal circumstances. The math is simple but brutal. Conviction requires 2/3 of the Senate. That is 67 votes. Democrats hold 50 seats, so they need 17 Republicans to vote yes. That is a lot. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible. But these are not normal circumstances. The evidence is direct. The testimony is sworn. The obstruction is undeniable. And the political environment is toxic for Trump. His approval rating is already in the low 30s. Impeachment hearings broadcasting this testimony on every network, on every social media platform, in every newspaper will drive those numbers even lower. And when a president is that weak, when his own party members are already calling for his resignation, when the evidence is that clear, 17 Republican votes become possible. Not certain, but possible. And Trump knows it. Reports describe him in screaming rages over the testimony. Screaming rages, demanding to know who the whistleblower whistleblower is, threatening retaliation, attacking House Democrats by name, trying to change the subject, but none of that changes what happened. None of that makes the evidence disappear. None of that erases the words, "bury it deep," from the congressional record. Trump is panicking because he sees impeachment coming. He sees the possibility of conviction. He sees his presidency ending, and there is nothing he can do to stop it. Let me walk you through the specific legal and political dimensions of what is happening, because this is moving faster than anything we have seen in modern American history. We need to understand every layer, the whistleblower's identity and credibility. This person is not a political operative. They are not a disgruntled employee. They are a former high-ranking FBI official with direct access to the Oval Office. They worked under Kash Patel. They were present at the meeting where Trump gave the order. They have no obvious political axe to grind. They decided to testify despite the enormous personal risk because they believed the truth needed to come out, and they are protected by federal whistleblower laws, though everyone knows Trump will try to destroy them anyway. Their credibility is bolstered by the fact that they are putting their freedom on the line. Perjury is a serious crime. People do not risk prison to tell lies in a congressional hearing. The "bury it deep" quote itself. Those three words are devastating because they reveal intent. They reveal consciousness of guilt. Trump did not say, "review these files for privilege." He did not say, "redact sensitive information." He did not say, "consult with legal counsel." He said, "bury it deep." That is the language of a cover-up. That is the language of someone who knows the evidence will hurt him. And the fact that the files specifically link Epstein to Mar-a-Lago means this is not about national security. This is not about protecting classified sources and methods. This is about protecting Donald Trump personally. The files allegedly contain records of Epstein's visits to Trump's property, who he met with, what happened there, what was photographed, what was documented. And Trump wanted all of that hidden from the American people, from Congress, from the courts, from history, the corroboration with Patel and Bondi's conduct. For months, both of them have been obstructing the release of the Epstein files. Both have faced contempt proceedings. Both have claimed legal justifications that seemed flimsy at best and fraudulent at worst. Now we know the truth. They were following orders. Trump told them to bury the evidence. They obeyed. That makes this a conspiracy. Trump at the top, Patel and Bondi as his instruments. All three of them guilty of obstruction. Patel and Bondi facing potential prison time for contempt. Trump facing impeachment. And the whistleblower's testimony ties it all together in a way that circumstantial evidence never could. The timing of the testimony could not be worse for Trump. It comes immediately after 47 lawmakers called for his resignation. It comes after Judge Boasberg signaled that judicial removal mechanisms are on the table. It comes after the Supreme Court struck down his tariffs, creating a massive economic and legal liability. It comes after courts stripped his immunity claims. Everything is piling on at once. Courts are sanctioning him. His own party is fracturing. The evidence of obstruction is now direct and sworn. Democrats can ride this momentum and say, look at what is happening from every direction. The courts, the Congress, even his own party. The system is telling us this president cannot continue. Representative Al Green's framing of this as reckless leadership is politically brilliant. Green is not just arguing about the technical crime of obstruction. He is arguing about fitness for office. He is saying that even if you think obstruction alone might not be impeachable, the entire pattern of behavior, the chaos, the lawlessness, the refusal to accept constitutional limits, all of it together shows a president who needs to be removed. That framing appeals to moderates. It appeals to people who might be uncomfortable with impeachment on narrow legal grounds, but who look at the last several years and think, enough is enough. This is not normal. This is not how a president is supposed to act. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's continued push for impeachment, even after Iran agreed to a ceasefire, shows that democratic momentum is not fading. She has made the argument that the ceasefire changes nothing, that Trump still violated his constitutional obligations, that he still needs to be held accountable. And now with the Epstein testimony, she is saying the case is overwhelming. Unauthorized military action, obstruction of justice, defying court orders. All of it together. That unified progressive voice, combined with Green's persistent advocacy, combined with moderate Democrats who see the testimony as undeniable, creates a coalition that leadership cannot ignore. This is not a fringe movement. This is the mainstream of the Democratic Party. The House Judiciary Committee's timeline is shockingly fast. Votes by the end of the week. Articles drafted immediately. That speed is strategic. Democrats know that if they wait, Trump will attack the whistleblower. He will claim executive privilege. He will file lawsuits. He will use every delay tactic available. So they are striking while the testimony is fresh, while public attention is at its peak, while the evidence is clear and undeniable. And they have the votes. They have the majority. Impeachment will pass the House. Trump will be impeached for the third time within days. That is not speculation. That is the schedule. The Senate calculation remains the biggest unknown. 17 Republican votes is a high bar, but consider what has already happened. 47 lawmakers, including Republicans, have called for resignation. That is not nothing. That is a significant crack in the dam. Some of those lawmakers are senators. Some of them will have to vote on conviction. And if the whistleblower testifies in the Senate trial, if the American people see a former senior FBI official sitting in front of the nation saying, "I heard the president say, bury it deep," that changes the political calculus. Republican senators up for re-election in swing states will have to choose between Trump and their own political survival. Some of them will choose survival. Some of them will choose country over party. Some of them will look at the evidence and decide they cannot defend the indefensible. This fractures the Republican Party even further. Some Republicans will defend Trump no matter what. They will attack the whistleblower. They will call the testimony a deep state conspiracy. They will say it is all a witch hunt. But others, especially those who already called for resignation, will be in an impossible position. Do they vote against impeachment and look like they are defending obstruction? Or do they vote for impeachment and face Trump's wrath? Either way, the GOP splits deeper, and a divided Republican Party makes conviction more possible and helps Democrats politically heading into the next election cycle. The party that has been unified around Trump for years is now showing cracks that may become fractures. The impeachment process itself will tank Trump's already low approval ratings. He is already in the low 30s. Televised impeachment hearings with a sworn witness saying, "The president ordered me to bury evidence," will drive those numbers into the 20s. And a president with approval ratings in the 20s is a president who cannot govern, who cannot command loyalty, who cannot survive politically. Low approval makes Republicans more willing to abandon him. It makes the 25th Amendment more viable. It makes everything about his presidency harder. When your own party members are running away from you in public, the end is near. The 2026 midterms are now a referendum on impeachment. Democrats can campaign on accountability. They can say, "We impeached a president who obstructed justice, who hid evidence, who abused his power, and you saw the testimony. You heard the words, bury it deep. Now vote for leaders who will uphold the rule of law." That is a winning message in swing districts. That is a message that resonates with independents and moderate Republicans. Republicans, meanwhile, are stuck defending the indefensible. They have to explain why a president ordering evidence buried is somehow acceptable. They have to explain why obstruction is not a big deal. That is a losing argument. That is an argument that loses elections. Trump's response will only make things worse. He is already attacking the whistleblower. He is demanding investigations. He is lashing out at House Democrats. But every attack makes him look more guilty. Innocent people do not attack witnesses. Innocent people do not threaten retaliation. Innocent people welcome testimony that clears them. They say, "Let all the evidence come out. Let the truth be known." Trump is doing the opposite. He is trying to bury the witness the same way he tried to bury the files. And that pattern of behavior will be played on every news network, in every impeachment hearing, in every Senate debate, in every campaign ad. It is a gift to Democrats. 13th, this testimony exposes Trump to potential criminal prosecution after he leaves office. Obstruction of justice is a crime. It is a felony. If Trump is removed by impeachment, or if he leaves office at the end of his term, or if he loses the next election, he could be prosecuted. The whistleblower's testimony would be evidence in that criminal case. The words, "bury it deep," would be played for a jury. Trump is not just fighting for his presidency. He is fighting to stay out of prison. And that is why he is panicking. That is why the screaming rages. That is why the desperate attacks on everyone who tells the truth. He knows what is at stake. He knows that once he loses the protections of the presidency, he is vulnerable in a way he has never been before. Let me bring this to a close with the bottom line, because the bottom line is simple and stark. The whistleblower testimony is not just another scandal. It is not just another news cycle. It is the catalyst that makes Trump's impeachment imminent and potentially successful. Direct testimony of Trump ordering Epstein file obstruction. Corroboration of Patel and Bondi's crimes, political momentum from Republican resignation calls and judicial rebukes, fast-tracking by House Democrats who see the opportunity and are seizing it. Articles of impeachment could pass the House within days. Trump will be impeached for the third time, and while Senate conviction is still difficult, it is more possible than it has ever been, because the evidence is clear. The political environment is toxic for Trump, and some Republicans might finally decide that it is time to cut him loose. Trump knows this. That is why he is panicking. That is why the screaming rages. That is why the attacks on witnesses. He sees impeachment coming. He sees the possibility of conviction. He sees his presidency ending. And the whistleblower testimony is the final piece, the smoking gun that gave Democrats what they needed to move, proof that Trump personally ordered obstruction to hide Epstein files linking to his own property. That is impeachable. That is provable. That is happening now. Impeachment is rushing closer, not as a distant possibility, but as an imminent reality. And Trump cannot stop it. He cannot change the testimony. He cannot make the evidence disappear. All he can do is watch as the impeachment machinery grinds forward, as articles get drafted, as votes get scheduled, as his third impeachment becomes inevitable. And this time, with direct testimony, with GOP fractures, with judicial support for accountability, conviction might actually happen. Trump's presidency is ending, not in some hypothetical future, now, in the next few days and weeks. Impeachment is rushing closer because one person decided to tell the truth under oath. And that testimony changes everything because now Democrats have proof, and proof is what makes impeachment unstoppable.